Hello and welcome, or welcome back. I am Crackers and this is The Strange Blacksmith. Today we are going to turn the end of this little chisel bit into a chasing hammer. We're aiming for something in about the 1 pound range. I like to use this hammer for sheet metal work. It's actually kind of just one of my favorite hammers in general. It's quite abused and in need of a new handle apparently. However, we are going to make this in a dog head style because I like them. So the idea here is basically going to be trying to work some of this point back down into the body. We're aiming for something about 3/4 of the size of this hammer, so in the 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch range. And I'm looking for like a bean type shape. Yeah, then we're going to flatten it across one of these planes and then drift an eye. I'm really pleased with the forge and the hood modifications I made. There's so much less radiant heat coming off of the hood and much better fume extraction with that side clamp up there. I don't actually know what this chisel is made out of, but it takes everything I have to get it to move underneath the hammer. And going up to a 4-pounder didn't seem to make much of a difference, so I ended up doing most of this with the 3-pound. I was a little too focused on beating the hell out of it and got a little bit of a twist in it. Fortunately, I caught it pretty early and was able to work on the diagonal to straighten it. Pretty much everything I did on this was crooked, and I probably spent more time fixing mistakes than actually moving metal. I used my S7 piercing punch to open up an eye from both ends. Somehow managed to screw up and punch both sides off center, which just leaves more stuff to fix. What the hell? Speaking of something else to fix, I guess I'll have to finish punching this with my cross peen. With the hole off center, I'm only hammering on the fat side. The skinny side won't stretch as fast on the anvil. And as you can see here, I'm mostly heating the fatter side of the eye. This is one of my favorite things about working in coal forges. Propane forges typically can't spot heat like this, and you can't quench tool steel to isolate. And since this side is hotter, it's going to stretch faster, evening out the eye. And once the eye gets centered, I can heat the whole thing up and drift it to size. Alright, so all we've really got left is to clean this up, put a little bit of shape in it, and then I'm going to clean the eyes up after heat treat. I'm just smoothing out this lump in the middle and taking off the corners. I'd like to leave this mostly hammer finished. I'm just putting a gentle curve in it so the face sits just below the plane of the hammer body. This makes for better ergonomics when using the hammer over a stake or reaching down into a cavity. And a quick normalization cycle and brushing before heat treat. This looks too hot in editing, and it could be, but the camera isn't always accurate. A little bit of decarb, but that's hard. And tempered just past straw into brown. Alright, so we've got it pretty much done today. I am going to do the finish grinding on it, which is mostly just going to be cleaning up the heel, cleaning up the eye, and cleaning up the face. Still haven't put the actual shape I want into the business end. I'm going to save that for tomorrow. But I think we got some decent temper colors. And it was a really slow temper. It took forever to come up to temperature, so I'm sure it's going to be fine. This is going to be fun. Even though this wasn't quenched, it's still very hard. Barely doing it. But it will do it. And I probably have some sharper burrs as well. So I did buy a new handle for this, but after the handle in my dog's head broke, it's getting used for this instead of this, because I use the dog's head much more than I'm going to use this thing. And this is just the handle that I pulled out of the dog's head hammer when I redid the heat treat on it. Yeah, we got a split down the back side of the hammer, like it's split this way, and I taped it up, and then you saw halfway through it snapped off. And I'm not seeing any like specific damage or anything. It just broke. I may have to rethink my choice of handles after that. I actually would like to start making my own handles. So I'm far from a professional hammer maker. Just something I think would be fun. And this is not going to stay on here. I'll buy a proper handle for this. I thought it was going to work, but it's dropping too far down and the handle's getting way too short for my taste. But it'll work for testing here. And on today's episode of things that I should have done before I got to this point, and this side I've got to be a little more careful with how much heat I'm letting build up in the part, because I don't want to suck the temper out of the face. I need another grinder. I hate switching wheels. So all said and done, I think it actually came out pretty well. I did a couple test pieces to play around with the hammer and to make a thumbnail. This is kind of like the blacksmith's version of free association writing. This kind of boiled over into another piece that I think I'm going to make a separate video on. So keep an eye out for that. It'll probably be out in a few days or a month. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Kind of second guessing myself about the length of the hammer. This handle still doesn't fit into the eye very well, so it still needs to be replaced, but I am wondering if this isn't an appropriate length for the handle. Since this is mostly like a detail type of hammer, I don't think I really need or want the length on it. But that's going to do it for today. I appreciate your support. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.